All right, hello, good morning, good evening, and good night. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic because today we're going to be comparing three popular high yield ETFs. We're comparing YMAX, QYLD, and SVOL. And in today's video, it's going to be fun. I have a Excel sheet here where we're going to be comparing the dividend returns of all three of these high yield ETFs. We're also going to take a look and compare the share prices from a year ago. So we're doing a year comparison where they started, where they're currently at, the total in terms of dividends added to the current share price to see, okay, have we broken even? Are we positive? Are we losing money? And which out of the three is the best? And then in all, what we're going to do is compare it as well to the S&P 500 and some other S&P 500 ETFs. So if that does sound good, this is really all about talking about income. It's going to show you which one of these three high yield ETFs is best for an income driven maybe investor and potentially a total return. What's something if you want maybe a more stable share price and you want maybe lower dividends, or you want higher dividends and you don't necessarily care about the share price per se, but you want more income. So that's what we're talking about in today's video. We're up to 8,189 subscribers, 282 subscribers in the past 28 days. That is awesome. And I was a little bit worried to create this video, but as soon as I start recording, all the worries go away and I'm super excited to bring it to you guys. And so today, let's get it started. YMAX. First one, 82% dividend yield as you see there. So what I've done is I've taken all the dividends from now and up until June of 2024. So June 2024 up until now, pardon me, a little reverse psychology right there. Basically, I've taken all those dividends, added them up, and it equated to roughly $8.57, as you can see right here. I'll zoom in. Cool. So YMAX's share price starting about a year ago, if we go back all the way 1 year, it's about 1984. 1984 is the starting share price. Cool. What's the current share price? The current share price of YMAX is $13.56. If you guys aren't aware, YMAX is a Yieldmax fund of funds. Basically, it tracks all of these underlying Yieldmax ETFs, TSY, ORC, APLI, NVDY. I'm going to go through them all. Psych, because we don't have time for that. We need time for our calculations here. So current share price is $13.55. It started at $19.84. Let's just do a little math here, okay? So I want to see how much did YMAX's price subtract in the year. $6.29 was lost due to dividend and NAV erosion. I'll call it dividend erosion. So, wow, $6.29. So, right off the bat here, we see, okay, we're in the positive because our total dividends is more than what we lost in terms of the share price. Now, our total of that is adding our $13.55, our current share price, to the dividends, which is $8.57. And to get our total return, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add in, we're going to take our total return divided by our starting share price, subtract by 1, and we get not 12 cents, wow, but 12%. If I can find that here, I'm going to go to here, I'm going to add a percent, boom, 12%. Let's go out a couple decimals if possible. Boom, boom. So about 11.5% return for YMAX if you invested at the start of the year where the share price was at $19.84. Okay, that's actually pretty good. I want to highlight that. So now we're going to move along here to QYLD. QYLD tracks the NASDAQ 100. It's the NASDAQ 100 covered call ETF. And unlike YMAX, YMAX doesn't own any of the underlying. It's synthetic. But QYLD is a covered call ETF, meaning it owns the underlying stocks in its portfolio. And as you can see here, their top holdings, you can see it consists of Microsoft, NVIDIA, Apple, Amazon, and the list goes on. You can see the total percents on the left, and then actually what's really cool is the market price for each of them over here on the right, and those prices. So if you want to see, go to QYLD's website. I could link it down below, but it's really easy to find. Just search up QYLD and go to Global X. Anyways, let's get into some awesome calculations because we need to compare these. So the dividend came out a little bit weird on Excel, to be transparent. So I've calculated them in two separate ways. This is going all the way back to June. Yes, June, because we are in June. June of 2024. So we're going to add these two up. This was the total dividends paid out by QYLD, which is $2.26. And before you're like, oh, YMAX paid $8, so it's automatically better, it's more. Okay, the NAV erosion was different. So the total for this, what I want to do here is I want to take our total. Oh, okay, hold up. We are jumping ahead of ourselves. What is the starting share price of QYLD at the start of June? It was $17.48. Let's see what we have here. $17.54. We're going to go with $17.54. The current share price being about $16.44. I have it at $16.42. I think that is okay. And so in terms of our total here, what we want to do is we want to add our dividends to our current share price, and that gives us a total of $18.68. So when we're looking for our return, boom, right there, what we're going to do here is we are going to take our $18 and divide it by the purchase price of $17.54, and with the percentage added, subtracting 1, because we want to get a nice percent there, we get roughly about 6. What do we got here? Still with me. 6.48%. So you could already see QYLD is roughly about half the return of YMAX right off the bat. As you can see, the share price was a bit more stable, but we didn't receive that much in terms of dividends. Of course, with dividends, you get taxed. And so YMAX, you would have gotten taxed about 15%, 15 and 20%, depending on your tax bracket on this. So that would eat into the returns. But even with that, YMAX would still be superior in terms of a total return. Now we're going to the last one, SVOL. This is the one I really think has the potential to compete with YMAX. So see what's going on here. SVOL. SVOL is the simplified volatility premium ETF. I hope I didn't lose it with that one there. Basically, it shorts the VIX. What is the VIX? The VIX is, I'm pretty sure it's the volatility index. And whenever volatility spikes, it's usually when there's a bunch of uncertainty. You can see April 4th, when Trump announced those tariffs, volatility spiked, and we seen a correlation in SVOL, which was a real downtrend in SVOL. So if you think times are going to be good, you want to buy SVOL, because if you think they're going to be stable, prices are going to increase, there's not going to be a potential recession, then it's basically a stable ETF for high dividends. But if times become volatile, you could see the price went from $21.50 all the way down to roughly $13. It would have been a great time to pick it up. So if the VIX ever jumps, if uncertainty creeps in, SVOL can be a good play for high dividends and potentially some capital appreciation down at $13. And now we're at roughly 17.5 and still paying high dividends. So let's check out some dividends from SVOL. Where did we start? We started at roughly about $22.46. What do we have up here? $22.56. I'm okay with that. The current share price at $17.52. We have that listed here. The total dividends paid out from SVOL, roughly about $3.37. Let's see if I can find that here as well. I know they have their premium history way down here. Beautiful. And what I did was I did it all the way back to June. So it's $3.37. We're going to do our total here, which is taking our current share price plus our $3 dividend. And wow, we actually lost with this. So when we go to our return, boom. I was going to say shakalaka, but that is way too weird. Anyways, we go to return. We are doing equals our total divided by our starting share price, and we are going to subtract this from 1. So look at that. Isn't that awesome? The dividend that we actually bought, which was YMAX, is the best performing dividend at roughly about 11.5%. Of course, taxes not included. That would deduct roughly about 15 to 20% out of this. We'll call it a 9% return roughly. But you can see YMAX was the superior high yield ETF when it compared to QYLD and SVOL in terms of both dividends paid out and total return. And when we compare this to the S&P 500, S&P 500 returned about 12.48%, and SPXL, which is a 3 times bull on the S&P 500 in the past year, returned about 15.44%. So would you have been better off just buying the overall market? Yes, but at the same time, that's a very close return for dividends included. That is awesome. So when it comes to living off your dividends, YMAX definitely offers superior dividend yield. And one thing to keep in mind is the current share price has really eroded. Likely, if it continues to erode like this, you might see them do a reverse stock split, which is extremely not ideal. I do not like reverse stock splits. They say if you just keep reinvesting, I don't like that. I don't like reverse stock splits. Hopefully they can avoid this, and what they would take in order to avoid this was they would need the overall market and the underlying stocks within YMAX, which are all these ones right here. We would need those to appreciate and bring YMAX's share price up. So that's something to keep in mind. So I hope you guys did enjoy this little side-by-side comparison between SVOL, QYLD, and YMAX to show, okay, what were the total returns over the past year, how'd they do, what were the dividends paid out, and hopefully this gives you guys some kind of clarity. Maybe high yield investing is for you, maybe it's not. I built a base with high yield investing. That's what my channel was based around, and I'm kind of at the point where I've pretty much maxed out what I want to get out of high yield investing, and now it's on to the next journey for me, which will most likely consist of buying SPXL and some other maybe a little bit lower yield dividend ETFs and individual stocks. But I'll keep you guys posted as everything with my journey, and I hope you guys do join me along the way. I hope this was informative. I hope you learned something, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.